Content marketing and SEO depend on the needs and questions that people have so that you can create great content to answer those needs and questions. And this is really where content marketing and SEO shine, right in between the questions that people have. And it's in this area that we can really start to build a relationship with customers and answer questions. One way to think about SEO and content marketing when you want to produce content is to look for a content gap. A content gap is a space between what users are seeking on the internet and the results that they find. So essentially, it's just supply and demand. If there's a lot of questions, but not a lot of content given for that question, then that means that you have a really good spot to take over for your business. The reason for this is that every Google search is a question. So whether people are looking for the best Chinese food, how to interview for a new job, or how to drive, these are all questions that people go to Google to search for. And a content gap is when people can't find what they want. And again, this is the area that you want to be in when you work on SEO and content marketing, because these are questions that are not being addressed, which is a perfect place for you to build your brand. This also gives you a prime opportunity to match the needs of your audience and drive your business goals. So how do you identify a content gap? Well, first, focus on what you want to talk about. Think about the topic, really go in depth, think about specific questions that people have about that topic, and conduct market research to understand your audience. It's really important to bring together the needs of your business with the needs of your customers so that you can create great content that hits both of those objectives. And then the next step is to work on keyword research to understand how people are searching. So it's one thing to know that people have questions. It's quite another thing to understand what those people look for in order to find answers. And then create a spreadsheet that has competitive research and where you reverse engineer and understand your competition. So now you really understand what the customers need, what your opportunity based on your competitive research, and then also your business goals. One way to think of a content gap is just a gap between two valleys. On one side, you have what the content or the questions and answers that people are looking for. On the other side, you have what content people can actually find. And never lose sight of the who. The who is not really your competition. It's not even about you. Think about the real person behind every online search. You can use surveys to understand who they are. You can use SEO tools to reverse engineer how people search. And you can glean a lot from this competitive research and market research that you'll need to conduct. The main goal here is to identify the problem that your customers have so you can address their intent and then build content to help drive them towards a conversion. And then always think about the why. Keywords are data points. They're not the end-all be-all for SEO, but keywords are how people engage with Google, and Google is a conduit between questions and answers so that they can find what you're looking for. Pay special attention to key phrases. These are long tail keywords because they show user intent. And also conduct keyword research to understand the demand of a topic before you actually invest a lot of time and money into the strategy. Think about the where. Where are your customers finding answers? Google isn't the only search engine on the web. There's YouTube, which is a search engine with a little bit of social sprinkled on top. Also, if you wanted to go with non-search engines, you could also think about Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As you're doing this, be sure to use the right research tool. Always conduct first party whenever possible. These are surveys and feedback. But if you do have to use tools, I recommend using Ahrefs, Moz, and SEMrush. So there you go. This is the content gap. It's kind of an abstract term, but the overall idea is just finding a way to understand the gap between what people are looking for and what they're finding. And if you see that there's a content gap, typically you could find this through keyword research with volume versus demand, and also just by doing Google searches to see what comes up. If you conduct a content gap, this will be able to help you gain more traffic to your site, close more sales, and get more leads.